The latest report from the United Nations was released this week called the Sixth Synthesis Report, and it paints a dire picture of where we're headed. In short, the world is running out of time to act. Let's set the stage as to why. Over the past 5 decades, carbon dioxide emissions have continued to increase year after year, and while some of that increasingly is absorbed by the Earth, more and more of that is left to sit in the atmosphere. After a brief dip in emissions during the COVID-19 pandemic, we are back on track with increasing emissions, and while actions already taken have begun to slow that increase, the report is clear that we need to be heading in the opposite direction. On our current track, we crossed that critical threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius in about 9 years. Let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm going to go over to the chromo wall, so we're going to switch gears right here, where I'm a little bit more familiar. I read the report, and there's a lot in it, but I wanted to take a couple of points which more so apply to us here in the upper Midwest. One they talked about is corn. Agriculture is our biggest industry. When we're taking a look at corn yield, here's what we're looking at when we cross that 1.5 degree threshold. Now, you know, this is what they gave us. They gave us a global look. We're taking a look right about right here. That's the upper Midwest. Now, we're seeing about a 10% decrease. Okay, that's a little bit. But once you cross that 1.5 degree threshold, you unlock what really are these cascading snowball mechanisms, which make getting towards 4 degrees Celsius increase a lot more easy. And at that point, you're talking about maybe even a 20 to 25 degree decrease in yield of corn. That's not great. We can all think about what that means in terms of money. That's a lot. The other thing I want to point out is the risk of species loss. Right now, when we cross that 1.5 degree Celsius threshold, you can see there's some species loss in the tropics on the scale of 1, 5, 10%. You get towards 2 degrees Celsius, though, that's a pretty big jump. And that jump becomes exponential the warmer and warmer the planet gets. You can see large parts of not just the tropics, but even the upper Midwest are starting to see species die. That's the fish that we fish in the summer. That's the bees which pollinate our flowers. That is everything around us. And here was the final point. This was the biggest point they make, and I'm going to leave it with you here. I literally took this straight from the report. Climate change is a threat to human well-being and planetary health, and there's a rapidly closing window of opportunity to secure that livable future. The choices and actions at the bottom here implemented this decade will have impacts now and for thousands of years. And I should say that this is the last report of this kind until 2030. We're going to have more reports on climate change here at KIMT coming up over the next several months. But for now, I'll toss it back to you, Annalise.
Thanks, Sean.